Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in tonight for another live stream of our podcast. My name is Q, and today we have Cooper here. Kyle wasn't able to attend, so Cooper will be in his place.
They took me off the bench.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we did. And then our guest for tonight is the wonderful and amazing Zach, who is the head of the program here, the esports program here at Eastern and stuff like that. So today,
Stuff like that.
Stuff like that, yeah. So today, we'll be looking into his experience of participating in the esports scene, running the program here, the future of esports, and his love for gaming and stuff like that. First off, tell us a little bit about your role for the program here at Esports and what your day-to-day responsibilities look like and stuff, and then work from there. Say stuff a lot. Sorry.
Yeah. So what do they pay me for? Yeah. What's the point of all this anyway?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you guys, a lot of people watching may already have a decent idea, but obviously we're video games on campus. Ultimately, that's why I have a job. We have competitive games, we have casual games, and students are gamers. At the end of the day, and we want to universities ultimately want to create an environment that students are able to succeed and socialize, and ultimately, what that's meant over the years has kind of changed a lot. So the nature of what my job has also changed a lot. Over the years. For a long time, probably only 5 years ago, the idea of, okay, you're going to have like a full-time staff member working at a university. Really, all that people had in mind for what that was going to be was just going to be, okay, you're going to organize maybe a couple or competitive teams. Like our clubs maybe have been trying to do this for a few years already. And you're going to help us compete and maybe coach them. Like that was actually probably the most common form of my job a couple of years ago was coaching, not actually coordinating or directing or anything. It was just teach the kids how to play, that kind of thing. So that's how I actually got my start. And, obviously now it's changed a lot. So, the role has expanded a lot into, now we're going to integrate our academic colleges into the program, and we're going to actually have scholarships, and we're going to hire third-party coaches, and we're going to have more than just a couple games. We're going to have a really complex program that serves students of all kinds of gaming interests, and really kind of fostering relationships between students and their games, and also finding a way to do that while they're studying and making that their time while gaming valuable in the context of being a university student. That's kind of the challenge that we have today, and that's kind of why I'm the position that I'm in.
So you said you went from coach to being where you are now. Yeah. Obviously that decision couldn't have been easy. Did you kind of have a weird wow moment where you were like, this is a lot bigger than what I thought it was going to be, especially going from the coach aspect to managing it all as a president of the esports?
As a president,
I mean, what else would your title be?
Yeah, I'm just really
head honcho.
Head honcho, coordinator. Same thing. It wasn't really in a lot of ways. It wasn't my choice that it happened this way. This is kind of the way the industry went, and if you had more experience, in the position that I'm in, and other people have probably experienced the same thing. Larger universities, the universities that want to make esports something bigger than just, okay, we're going to go and play video games against other schools, they're going to hire you for more than just coaching. And obviously, usually that comes with a bigger paycheck as well. So after a few years of experience, typically you've end up, at least right now in the current climate, look for those jobs that are a bit more, that have a larger scope than just coaching. And that really became a thing. More on a more broad scale, there's 4,000 universities, 700 have esports facilities, and only really a couple hundred probably have worthwhile scholarships. So there's not a lot of jobs out there, but the ones that are starting to develop their programs in a meaningful way have really gone up, upgraded from just the sense of coaching. But the university I was working at, a small private school where athletics was his bread and butter. I mean that within the purview of that kind of university, the only thing that could exist was coaching. We're only going to compete, and then they're only going to take classes. That's it. But you come to a place like Eastern, a lot bigger, a lot more student experience focused. Student success oriented. the idea of just being a coach isn't enough. And it's kind of nice to see bigger universities adopting this kind of like esports initiative. So,
well, nice part too is you get like more opportunities. Like I'm sure at the smaller schools, it's a lot easier to do like student events, like booths and like bigger stuff, like how we can do in the ballroom and such. Like,
yeah,
I can imagine those smaller schools have too many ballroom or gala events.
Nope. In fact, I think my last school, small school in South Carolina, in my time there, we built the student center. Like they released their student center, and it had we pretty much would reserve the ballroom for like club activities, and that was about it. But you come to a big place like this, obviously, and we can throw big parties.
Yeah.
You got a specific resource that like you were like, oh, that's nice.
I would say this building we're in right now, the student center. Yeah.
That's fair.
It was a game changer. The moment I realized there was a chance we could move in here and have operations for esports happen through the student center, I'm like, man, the opportunities are really, really good or really, really high here. So
no brainer.
Yeah.
And to build off of that, what has that journey been like for you in terms of evolving like the esports program here on campus, and what has that transition been like for someone in your position who had experience with another university before coming here, and what made Eastern more of a unique experience in terms of developing an esports program?
Oh man, I mean, I think the best answer to this kind of needs a little context, because I didn't always know what this program needed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, when I came here, the vision that I had for this program was a fraction of what we are today, and a fraction of what my vision is for it now.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that perspective comes from the fact that, I started my time about a decade ago. It was crazy to think about like we're going through university, working with like what was really the first iterations of like what a collegiate esports program could be.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time we had no idea what this kind of thing could be. We really just wanted to like, at a bare bones, being able to organize ourselves to like schedule practices, and that was it. It was a need, we had to just have practices so we could play matches. And so, esports programs were born, that was kind of where it started. And then, a few years later, graduating, I found a job, working in esports, did a few things kind of in between. And, like I was kind of just talking about, the idea was, okay, now we need a professional coach to coach our teams, so I got hired to do that. And then coming to Eastern, it's okay, let's coordinate the program. It's a different idea, bigger school, bigger ideas. And coming here, I had a better idea of like, okay, I've got all this experience. I want to do what I did, but I want to do it bigger and better. That was kind of my take on it. I want to have better teams. I want to coach them better, or like I want to hire better coaches and work with them. But when I got here, and kind of like even when I was interviewing and researching the job and the school, I realized that the opportunity here really existed within its students. Is kind of interesting. A cool thing that some schools will do, they'll fly you out, if they're a big enough institution, and for interviews. And it wasn't just the professional staff that interviewed me, it was also students. So you guys actually know some of the students that interviewed me for this job, which is kind of cool, and when I had the opportunity to get to talk to those students, I realized like they've got a much bigger idea for what a program can be, and I can help them achieve that, so it was kind of cool. So it was the students that ultimately, like their passion ultimately opened my eyes to like, okay, we can actually make something a lot bigger than anything I could have ever made at a smaller school, just because we had the talent and we had the initiative within the student body here already to do something cool. And I was like, man, that's, that kind of vision is something I really wanted to build on, and it excited me. And, here we are with something completely different than I ever thought we were going to do, with just a cooler program than I thought was possible. So
did it feel like a no-brainer decision, or was it like something you had to actually think about, like fully committing it to?
It took time. I mean, it was little bit by bit, I think it started, one of those students was Shri. I kind of mentioned, he walked in, I remember like, okay, this guy's going to be fun, and he was a huge part of the interview, and he's been a huge part of the program ever since, the rest is history, so to speak. And he's just an example. He had this great idea of I want to broadcast our games. It's such a small thing where, I had the same vision. In my last school, I was the only proponent. Like, I want to broadcast the games. It's going to be so much better. People can watch us play. But he had the same vision here. Like, people want to watch us play. We want to share what we're doing with the world. And, having that kind of desire to not just, like he wanted to share the games, obviously, but he wanted to do it professionally. He wanted to take it in a completely different direction than most schools were doing at the time. And we shared the vision for greatness ultimately, and I think I was able to kind of share that idea with a lot of other students and other professional staff at the school. And, just so much excitement and energy, one thing turned into another, okay, we can do a great broadcast, but now we can do this. And, it ultimately snowballed, I think, into us having a pretty dynamic program, all things considered. You don't see a lot of the, wellness programming and academic programming in an esports program that you do, that we have here, that you just don't see that at other schools as much. And I think that's really a result of just one great idea creating another great idea, and that just happening for long enough that I think we're in a great position. We have a lot of momentum because of that kind of methodology.
Yeah, and I think you're doing a good job. I might be a little bit biased because, I work on you.
We're all paid. You're doing a great job.
Good job. Everybody pats each other on the back.
What do you feel like your biggest hurdle was? Like, obviously, starting ground zero, that couldn't have been easy.
Oh, I don't know. I would say the confidence to have a vision in a way. I remember, because I moved across the country. I'm originally from Oklahoma to take a job in South Carolina, and that was a big move for me. I was like, okay, well, not really
life-changing.
Yeah, it was a life-changing move.
Seriously.
I was like, okay, this is going to be crazy. So I remember driving down there with my mother at the time, and it's great to have a supportive family. Get moved in.
100%.
And I remember talking, like I was chatting her up, like I don't know what I'm gonna do, and I think the self
valid. That's valid. I won't lie.
Yeah. I mean, we're happy with what we have, but I think the idea of having the confidence to actually make a decision, because ultimately I was being hired to build a program that didn't exist there at all. There wasn't even a gaming club at the school I was going to.
That was it.
Yeah, so you had to bring a vision. You had to bring something to the table off rip. Nobody knew what you were going to try to do. Nobody supported what you're going to try to do until you gave them something they could believe in. And that was really, that was a big challenge for me to kind of figure out, what it could look like. So you really just kind of had to give it your best shot and then see what stuck. That's kind of what it looked like at the beginning.
That's a big dive in the deep end.
Yeah. It was a lot of confidence from those administrators, and I appreciate everything they did for me there.
Gambling man since day one.
Yeah, but, I mean, I think that's true for everything. If when you have a hurdle, you just kind of gotta give it your best shot.
Well,
and
take the
do
chances.
better the next time.
Yeah. So with that, how's it been then? Let me repeat that. How has it been trying to work and recruit players, supporting them at EMU, both competitively and academically, but also growing like professional opportunities for people to be able to take part in the esports program? And how's that impact been like for other students that have come through the program in the past?
I think the idea of like recruiting and bringing in people to like, I guess to like a program like ours is not necessarily a straightforward, a super straightforward thing, because that's not really something that's ever existed in collegiate esports. I would say like in like, you almost look at like things like professional esports or professional sports rather, and even collegiate sports. You see like this whole ecosystem that has evolved of like recruiting, and there's like transfer portals and these things, they almost feel natural. Like we just saw this whole thing with like Luka getting traded, from the Mavs and what, like this idea of personnel transfer. Like you go from one place to another and you buy into this new vision. That's never really been a great thing for esports. And because we're such a new industry, it's ultimately, at least in professional world, always been kind of shady. Like, oh, this player's going here or there or whatever. And you start now bringing this to the collegiate world, and it's been a completely new experience trying to understand what it means to recruit a person to come and play. Because it's not necessarily always, okay, we're going to bring in this all-star recruit and they're going to change the way we play the game. That's one part of it, sure. At least in the context of like competitive play, but you have to check so many boxes. You have to be a great student for the institution. You have to want to study in the state that we're in. You have to you have to have the personality that is able to like actually practice and balance practice with studying. And that I guess you also have to be able to afford school. That's kind of the awkward thing of it at the end of the day. Like that's, obviously, Eastern does its best job to make school affordable for people, but and obviously there's always a huge debate, is college affordable or schools like scamming us, all this stuff. But like, you have to have a reason to go to school, and you have to you want to pursue a degree. You want to be able to pay for it, because esports can't get you all the way across the finish line. When it's not a full ride for us. It's not a full ride for most esports programs. Actually, there's probably only a couple that have that kind of opportunity. So you have to your program has to provide more value than just okay, we're going to give you a ton of money. There has to be intangibles. And that's the thing I think that esports recruiting from, just the competitive players and also like, I guess staff has to really lean into, the intangibles of what you can accomplish through esports and gaming, because the gaming industry is massive. It's ridiculously huge. If you know anything about it, I mean, the more billions of dollars go through gaming than I think probably even a lot of like traditional sports, and obviously like for esports to say, oh yeah, we're bigger than traditional sports, that's a lie. We're a subset of gaming. But at the same time, gaming is massive, and for us to embrace that industry in more ways than just, okay, we're just competitive, we're trying to give our competitive players more exposure to the industry and to other elements. I mean, I think that's yeah, sorry, I get distracted. I go look at chat, but I mean, it's ultimately at the end of the day, it's the intangibles. When you try to go to a program, you gotta be able to find skill sets and find exposure and projects. I think was one of the cool new things that we've been really working on is the idea of, let's try to achieve something great. Whether it's our players or our staff members or students who are just part of the club, like let's set out to make something that we're interested in and good at, that otherwise we would feel afraid to do or feel that would be too challenging to do. And if we can confidently approach those challenges and at least take them on, I mean, I think that's the kind of unique thing that an esports program can bring to people. And I think when you're recruiting people and getting them to buy into the idea of making themselves great and making the other people around them great as well, that's what a program like esports has to do to be successful. Otherwise, at the end of the day, we're just like a sport, and not as many people watch video games as you'd like to think sometimes. So, it's not like a profitable industry on its own just to like have people watch you. You have to do other things. Yeah, and it's really the intangibles at the end of the day. So,
silly question, like related to the recruiting. So, like how college works, like for football and stuff like that, the head coach and head coordinators always go through with the other coordinators, like for offense and defense. Do you work a lot with the coaches of, like, let's say Call of Duty or League of Legends when recruiting players? Or is that something you do a little bit more on your own, or they do a little bit more on their own?
Oh, it's a whole process. Every school has its own process. There's no defined process for collegiate esports. Mine is something I've developed over a few years, or all the years I've been in this field, kind of doing what I'm doing. And the coaches are included in the conversation, but like I mentioned, there's a lot more considerations that go into a player than just can they play on the team. So our process really does kind of work through a lot of those initial challenges before a player ever does get to the coach level. Just to make sure that they're a viable student and a viable player for us, and that that they pass a lot of the personality checks that I would do like in an interview with them. Because we have multiple interviews with a student before they ever get exposure to a coach. If they're a viable recruit for us, and the idea is that they're getting to meet our staff and our students, and they're getting to ask questions about what student life is about, and then they meet with me and they talk about financing and scholarship opportunities and what it looks like if they do make the cut on the team, and then only after all that do they actually get to play with the team and talk with the coach, and then after that, I'm sitting here, reviewing a pool of individuals with the coaching staff to see, okay, is this, like, who do we actually send an offer letter to at the end of the day? Because our scholarship isn't a full ride, but it is a lot of money, especially for some of the better players. So. It can be the difference between whether or not you're going to be able to attend the institution or not.
Most definitely. Especially if you're already good at the game and you're already thinking about going to school in that area.
Sure.
It definitely weighs people in different directions.
Oh, yeah. No, it's a big deal. And, we talk about the intangibles of learning stuff. Excuse me. There's a lot of intangibles in the scholarship itself, Just the sense of being valued is it goes a long way, and for me to have X amount of dollars, and I'm giving you that portion of my budget to you to come play for me. Like, there's only so much, I can give to people, and for me to value them as much as I can, it means a lot, I think, as well. So
yeah.
Do you have a preferred game? Preferred game you like recruiting? You can be honest. This won't go to any of the teams.
This is not public at all.
That's tax slander.
It's okay. Just if you had to rank them 1 right up here, 5 all the way down here, where would you put them at?
Like my favorite games to recruit for?
Yeah, like just purely like you got to sit there and grind some hours of film, go throughout the stats.
Let's say if we're really looking through a lot of people, I would say personally, I can tell very quickly the difference between a good League of Legends player and a bad League of Legends player.
That's fair.
I played that game for so many years. I know that that's probably the easiest one for me to go for. I would say I've had a lot of fun recently doing both Rocket League and Valorant, so it's probably a number 2 and number 3 somewhere mixed in, tied there. And then Overwatch, I know next to nothing about, so I have to put a lot of trust in people to be able to recruit for that game. So that's probably one of my least favorites to recruit for, just because I know the least about it. So I can't make my own evaluations. And then Call of Duty would be a lot of fun to recruit for, if there were recruits for it. So it's really hard to find Call of Duty recruits, but
that's a weird one too, because the space changes like every other year,
and it also depends on like the updates of the game too and stuff, and what people like and what they add in and stuff.
And you could be like, I know there's automatically like just skill factor, but you could be a great Modern Warfare 2 player, but then you hop on BO6, you don't know what you're doing. It's very possible.
It happens with some. So
so with that, what has you seen throughout your journey, a part of the esports scene, has been the most common challenges for any esports program or esports in general, especially when it comes to here at Eastern? And how have you best been able to tackle them? And what would be your advice for any future head honchos out there that would like to start their own esports program, whether they're a student or a faculty member or otherwise?
There's a lot. There's a lot that goes on that programs still need to develop and grow into. And this is probably one of the easier answers to give. But esports has always lived on Twitter or X. And X or Twitter has always been known as kind of a toxic space, and as a result, a lot of the the stuff you see regarding esports can be pretty toxic, because you hear the lowlights. You hear like, oh, this team did this or this person did this or whatever, and it's unfortunate because it's just kind of like, okay, this is the platform we're on. Not always going to hear like all just strictly positivity.
Even the highs too. Anyone can still comment anything or make anything out of the clip.
It's true. It's true. And what you see a lot, and maybe I've got a biased perspective just because I'm used to seeing news this way, and this is kind of how the program, the industry's been. But it's always had a little bit of shadiness sometimes, with gaming and competitive integrity and all this stuff, and people are not necessarily afraid of cutting corners, or haven't been afraid of cutting corners, because esports has always had this perception of, it's almost like a get-rich-quick industry, for a lot of people. That's why so much money poured into esports over the last 10 years, and not much money remains over the course, when you kind of looking at it from a professional standpoint, over the last, 3 years. Obviously, collegiate has been continually growing, so I don't want to bash collegiate in that regard. But esports as a holistic industry, people have never been afraid of taking the short route to victory, so to speak, and they want to be the most successful person they can be as quick as they can be, and they don't necessarily take the slow, proper approach. And I think that's been one of the big things that I'd love to see in the industry, and I would urge more people to do, because there is no shortage of seeing teams getting banned even out of the collegiate world, for like ringing a player, or like bringing in players when they shouldn't, or cheating, or all kinds of scandals, or like saying horrible things to people. Like discrimination is a horrible issue sometimes still in collegiate esports, and programs just they just allow it to exist, and they don't have a good read on the pulse of their own programs a lot of the time, which is really unfortunate. And I think that's something that I'd love to see, become more professionalized. And I'd love to see programs become more organized in the way that they deal with not just their best students, but all of their students who are part of their program. And, providing programs that are, I guess, provide a lot more professionalism and stability to everything that they do. Because it's been a big issue, and it hasn't really gotten fixed super quickly. And obviously that's kind of what we try to do here. We really like it. Sometimes people give me the side eye because of I want to try to do things the right way, or at least how I think what I think is the right way. And that's not always the best way in the short term. So
for sure. So with that,
we're not professional. Not professional.
Yeah, I'm fixing away our wires here.
All right. So with that, how has it been then, seeing sort of the players having the balance between school and competing in like the different game competitions and stuff like that, especially over the past few years that you've noticed?
Oh, that's a complicated answer. I would say that for the most time, students have a pretty good idea on it, and they're able to balance it pretty well. But there's definitely times when you have students that come in and their intentions are always really like, they can come in and they're really one-sided. Like I've just been a gamer my entire life, and that's all I really intend to do. And that really it conflicts sometimes with the challenge that every student faces. You go to university, you study, you don't know what you want to do a lot of the time. Yeah. Well, I mean, where's the motivation? What's in it for me? That's like ultimately you're paying for the school, or maybe your family's paying for the school, or the government's paying for the school, whatever. But you have to be able to rationalize within yourself, there's a reason for me to study.
Yeah, that end goal.
Yeah, what's the end goal? Am I going to make a bunch of money if I get a good grade on this test? No, I don't know. Am I going to get a good job? Am I going to graduate? And there's such a threshold for failure or success that students lose motivation in the in between sometimes. And it's like, how do you rationalize your own success or motivation in college? And that's hard for a lot of people to do, especially when you're playing games. Yeah, well, yeah.
I got it as a freshman. It's crazy. It's real.
Oh, well, yeah. Okay, well, if you got it as a freshman, that's tough. That's tough. I feel sorry for you. I'll see you later.
2 more years, babe. We got 2 more.
I'm confident that you'll be fine. But there's a lot of students that they get senioritis, like you say, early on, and then they have an excuse like gaming, and they just want to play games all the time. I'm not saying this goes to everybody, but it's not just gaming. It's a distract. It's whatever can distract them. I see a lot of students all the time that it's the parties. Like there's all kinds of crazy party schools, and I can't rationalize with these individuals. I can't understand them, or I can't empathize with them is probably the best word. But the gaming is one of many distractions at a university, and for students to be able to get past the idea that there is distractions, and to rationalize within themselves that there's something that I should be doing all of this for, so there's an end goal, and then B, to also find a way to balance, like, okay, now gaming is something that's actually important. Like I have a team, I have obligations and stuff. So not only you're trying to get past the distractions of gaming as a distraction, but you're also trying to balance that distraction as a legitimate use of your time with other legitimate uses of your time, like studying, working, whatever.
It kind of creates that weird dynamic too, because it's like you fell in love with gaming for the relaxing feature, but now it's almost like not a job, but like I mean, it is in a sense, like because you're getting paid for it. I mean, some individuals do. It's one of those things where if you're getting a scholarship for it, you're seriously getting paid for it.
You're getting paid, and it's no longer just you have an expectation to be distracted in a way. And it's just like sports, like football. Like you are now paid and incentivized to not be in the classroom. You're incentivized to represent the school in another way. So that's been a challenge that a lot of students face, and some do it better than others. But ultimately, the challenge that all that I can do is ultimately be supportive. And be supportive in that I'm reminding them constantly. Okay, hey, this is like where their priorities have to lie, because it's easy to forget.
Midterms are coming up, all that.
Yeah, and so long as I'm a bastion of, okay, you have to be studying, that's the first step for me. But then, also being able to connect students with resources, frequently connect them with resources when they need them, because I am not their key to academic success, and I'm also not the key to balancing their schedule. I'm just a part of their schedule at the end of the day. And but for students to be connected with resources on campus, because universities are designed for this. They've experienced this challenge for forever. Like students getting distracted. That there's really great resources built in a lot of the time to help students balance their schedule and to get tutoring and other help in areas that they need help or support. So that's really ultimately been my solution when we have students in that position. And it's just a case by case basis. We have students struggle, we have students that don't struggle. And for everywhere in between, it's just a matter of creating a personalized strategy for success. So,
when you do football teams and like all the individualized sports, they do grade checks, and some of the coaching staffs handle those. Do you hand that off to coaches? Is that something you do, or is that you don't touch grade checks at all? It is. Yeah. It's like the honesty policy.
So you're asking me if I know how you scored on your test last week?
No. Well, technically, I'm not an athlete, so I would consider it as I don't even.
I got you.
I don't know if my boss can view my grades, but I'm sure if you're giving a player a scholarship, how would that work?
Yeah, it depends. It depends. Some schools I'm sure allow staff to do it. Other schools don't. I do have intermittent access to grades. And that's something I check on for my players. To help make sure that they're on the right path, because ultimately, I have to ensure that they're falling in line with our scholarship agreements. When you sign an agreement with me that you're going to receive X amount of money, you're going to maintain a certain GPA. And I have to ensure that at points you are meeting that GPA requirement. So that's really, it's not like I'm constantly evaluating students and personalized, personally researching, okay, did they do well in XYZ? No, I'm making sure that, at increments throughout the year,
or
that
they're broad spectrum.
Yeah, that they're falling in line with the overall goals that I would set for an average student.
Any specific team, you got to check up on a little bit more?
Oh, no, I won't disclose that.
Oh, but there's one. He didn't say no team.
Surely there is. Surely there is.
Todd was at the bottom of the recruiting.
Yeah, you never know.
Man.
Keeps creeping.
Man. So with that, what has been the most common career opportunities that you've seen within the esports scene? And what is the best way for students to be able to apply for them, whether that's within a college setting or in a professional setting, such as what we typically see on like a Valorant stream or any other stream for like COD, Overwatch, any of that good jazz?
Like I kind of mentioned it briefly earlier, the professional scene, and there's a couple different scenes in esports, or maybe you could break it down to levels. Like you're playing either casually, you're playing semi-competitively, or you're playing very competitively, like at the point where you're like a professional and getting paid. Obviously, if you're getting paid, there has to be money coming from somewhere. There's cash flow, and typically you'd associate, the professional scene with, okay, this is where I need to work to make money. And I think for a long time that's been true. There's a lot of opportunities still somewhere in the collegiate esports professional scene, especially if you're not collegiate, sorry, if the professional scene of esports. But you're, it's challenging. And like I said, it's kind of scummy. Like I've had students go out into the real world and get hired at professional esports teams and been given the shorthand of the stick, the short stick, so to speak. It's just not always a productive environment, and you have to be careful. So I'm not saying that it's impossible to find good work in professional esports. You just have to be smart about how you do it. You have to read your contracts. You have to know what you're getting yourself into. And ultimately, be really good at what you do. And if you're not really good at what you do and you're not surrounded by the right people, good luck. It's a little hard.
How does it work for more of the aspect of getting guys to, I guess, that pro level status? Like, is it something you were to send the film out, or they self do it all? Like, like NFL or like NBA, they all have like pro days, draft such as like what? How would that work on this level?
Oh, it depends. I mean, I would say it's way more scrappy than you think. Way more who you know, especially in. I mean, there's something to be said for like if you're wanting to play professionally, you got to be really good and you got to know the right people in a way. You got to compete against the right people, and the right word of mouth has to spread oftentimes to the right coaches,
playing the right faces.
But if you want to like work professionally as like a content creator or media, like social media marketer or like a video producer or whatever, a graphic designer, business manager. All these different things. There's a whole spectrum of professional jobs. You oftentimes you got to be really good at what you do, A, and then B, you also kind of have to have a few years of experience. They're not typically taking new
college
fresh
graduates.
blood. Yeah, they're not typically hiring college graduates to work in the professional scene, especially in their corporate level. So you got to be a little conscious of that. Now, I will say this: I've already broken it out of 3 levels. So you have professional, like semi-competitive, and you have casual. Casual, you can almost scrap it, and if you really want to like think about like, okay, if I want to work in esports, you're not going to work in casual esports. That's not a thing. If you want to work with casual gamers, get into the gaming industry, get into game development. Work with somewhere in that capacity. But esports is specifically that like this microcosm of gaming is not necessarily your place. But you can find work in semi-competitive. That's where I'm at. That's kind of like collegiate esports. We do have some really, really, truly competitive teams that could be professional or like very close to professional in our industry, in the collegiate world. And this also kind of extends to amateur, but there is work in the collegiate. Collegiate, like I said, has not stopped growing. Investment has come in and out of professional esports. Universities have only increasingly been investing into collegiate esports. So there is more jobs being posted every year. More programs are investing into scholarships and in facilities every year. So I'd recommend if you want to get into collegiate esports or to work in the esports industry, collegiate esports is a great starting point, and that's probably where you're going to find the most work right now. Finding work as a graduate assistant or working intensively as a student-like worker in the program or leading a team or something, and then maybe like snowballing that into like a coaching position, and then potentially even then into a full-time like coordinator director role. I will say a lot of times you need a master's degree as well to be able to work in the position I'm in. So if you want to work where I'm at, you probably need a master's degree, but if you just to get started, you'd probably just need bachelor's. So
it's one of those things where like the market's there in the public eye. Like when Fortnite was huge and it was the $1 million tournaments, it was the everything really. Like you could literally go anywhere and you would see it on a billboard. I mean, they literally had stuff at New Year's Eve, didn't they? Like they were having commercials and they were going crazy.
Yeah, they also had Marshmallow, like just a random DJ.
Like
just
when they did like Juice WRLD stuff with Travis Scott, it was like it's one of those things. The market was so high for it, and that's when I think esports really got its launch. Unfortunately, to give Fortnite that much credit, but
yeah, well, I mean, I would say from my perspective that's untrue, but it's two-faced.
You've been around longer.
Yeah. So it's two-faced. Like in a way, our industry has had a few. It's like been a stepping stone. No story of an industry is ever just a vertical line up. It's peaks
and valleys.
Yeah. Well, it's when you learn about like
stock
I guess
market.
Business. Yeah, you have a. I guess like an early growth industry, you have like a mature industry, and you have like an industry that's kind of seeing its sunset period. And it's almost always a slow growth, And the idea of esports starting out, it's kind of stuff. A lot of that I'm more familiar with. It's kind of the early rise of the beginning of esports, but then it really did skyrocket a lot with things like with Fortnite, and Fortnite represents strong tie into the greater gaming industry, which is so much bigger than esports. And that stuff is really powerful. And so to a lot of people, Fortnite represents the beginning of gaming and competitive gaming and esports. So I get it. But there's a lot of history behind Fortnite as well. The early days of Call of Duty. Some of the earliest forms of gaming competition, and even had old or OG gaming competitions on arcade style games back in the day. So
I think it just goes to the point you said earlier about it's just not maybe the most professional right now. There's still a lot of problems with that aspect. I also think that's because it's so young. I think the older it gets, like you just said, I view it as Fortnite, you view it as even before then. So it's one of those things, as the business gets older, I think that's where the professionalism will come from, because it's literally just the business growing up and everybody growing up with it.
Yeah. Well, you also can't forget too that we're also technically a tech industry as well too, or a subset of that. So as the tech gets better, we're also gonna get better in terms of our own tech and stuff like that too. Because we're typically also be the front runners or some of the tech that we use, especially when in terms of game development, what we do in the entertainment industry, all that good jazz.
It's really like an ageism thing. It's really where you fit on that spectrum, where everyone's got different views. I'm 20,
I'm 27.
Yep.
Punk status.
Well, yeah. Everybody's got different perspectives on this, and I think there's, nowhere in esports is settled yet. I think there's a pretty good industry set up in traditional sports. Esports is a long ways to go. Our professional brands often live and die on the brand of a single player, and they will fully disappear if that player disappears or, something bad comes out. When we have something like Ninja come up, such a huge individual, groundbreaking brand, all this kind of stuff. They represent Fortnite. They represented Fortnite at that time, and if you have anything bad happen about Ninja, Fortnite suffers, and that's kind of a grand comparison to the way a lot of things work in esports, but our industry has a long ways to go. Nothing is necessarily set in stone. There's a lot of small things that change, and you find a lot more personality-driven content being more successful than even the competitive-driven content right now in professional esports. So, to each their own. I think there's a problem left unsolved, and I think it remains to be seen just how much money can be made in esports, in a more formal and respectable way, and kind of a perpetual way even. So we'll see.
And the more it goes, gets older and stuff too, the better games are going to come out, the better quality they're going to look, the more competitive, and you can actually see raw talent get fulfilled fully. The more capability they have.
Yeah. Well, I think our society will become more ingrained with technology, and esports has a direct line into it's inevitable to me. It's inevitable, and we will be, it will be a headlining part of entertainment in the future, and we're at the kind of the beginning of it now, and I don't know where it'll be. No one knows, but hopefully it's pretty cool when we get there.
Yeah. So my question is a bit of a two-parter. So if there were any games that you would like to add to the EME roster, what would that be? And also, do you see the application of VR being implemented into the esports scene, or what are your thoughts about that, and how that would sort of change things for the scene as a whole?
I'd build a COD team of ex-Navy SEALs. Who are you gonna be? You're not gonna be Navy SEALs.
That's cheesing it a little bit.
I would love to see Millsap going against a Navy SEAL in VR.
That would be wild.
That would be interesting.
That's what I'm saying.
At least.
I would build a demon team.
Yeah, just some actual killers. Actual killers.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know how that's going to play out. I don't know where the games are going to go. I mean, things like Marvel Rivals come out and surprise me. Fighting games, who knows? I have no clue where the games are going to go. Nobody does.
Yeah.
Rainbow Six 2.
Yeah, Rainbow Six 2. Heard about that a little bit. The industry is ever evolving, and even the games that aren't coming out with a second version of themselves, like League of Legends, at least hasn't announced anything like that. They're still evolving to this day. The game changes radically every few weeks. So, to that answer, I have no idea. But when it comes to VR, there's kind of stuff like that right now, with things like racing sim stuff, like racing simulation stuff, and that's kind of cool. There's a scene for that, and I think maybe there's a world that can continue going, but at the same time, like, it's really hard to make a simulation as cool or as engaging as the real thing, because as with the real thing, you're risking lives. It's so much more real and visceral in a way that people are gonna just draw their eyes. It's like a gladiatorial arena, like. You're gonna watch if somebody might die.
If you haven't, I strongly suggest watching. There's an F1 movie that came out, and it was the dude literally grew up playing video games, play up on the racing sim.
Oh, Gran Turismo.
Yeah, that movie changed my whole perspective. That thing was crazy.
Yeah, it's like, so good
because it's actually like my roommate has one of the racing sims. It is wicked. Like the fact that you can actually like feel it in the steering wheel, like how you normally drive. I have no idea how they do that. Like, it's ridiculous.
Well, I think there's a long ways for technology to go. And I think that movie was a testament to it. Like, gaming does represent a lot of technology, and we're positively aligned with it, where, our changes in our industry can impact other industries, in a very real way. But, like, I struggle to think, and this is kind of like one of the big challenges, like, that a simulation of a game will ever be bigger than the real game itself. Ooh. I wonder. I'm not sure that that'll ever be a true thing. What I think that gaming specializes in, and this provides a challenge for a lot of viewers. This is why gaming inherently is challenging for an esports. You find that you just don't have the viewership necessarily to be like as sustainable as like a professional football team, for example. Is because what we specialize in and our technology specializes in is simulating something that's not real. Like you're watching like something that's fantastical, and you're watching something that's not physically possible. And that's why it attracts like, gamers in a lot of ways. Like we can accomplish things digitally that no human could ever realistically accomplish in real life. And I think that, gaming and esports allows us to do amazing things. And when you understand just how amazing those things are, you want to watch it.
Yeah.
Oftentimes you have to play the game to understand how just amazing some of that stuff is. And or you have to have it be like, appreciate, like you have to appreciate like fantasy or sci-fi or like concepts like these. But, I think there's a lot to be said for the future of gaming and maybe like even simulation. But, maybe not necessarily within the scope of a true to form reality. I think there's a lot of room for improvement, but we'll see. We'll see where it goes.
For sure. You just have a few more questions, then we're going to look at the comments, and then we're going to round up the episode.
Sure.
So with that, we would like to know personally some stuff about you, Zach. So, first question, what is your favorite game of all time and why?
Oh, well, this is no secret. Do you guys know the answer already?
I do, and I'm disappointed by this answer.
Yeah.
Give it like a more creative answer.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I'm not going to say League of Legends, because we've talked about that game a little bit already, if I have to say another game that's like, oh man, like my favorite.
Like something crazy out of the works, like a Spyro or something.
Like if League wasn't in the picture, what would be your next favorite?
Okay, Skyrim would be too basic. I'm not going to be basic. I think Skyrim is a blast. I think a lot of people have
I would have hated on the Skyrim pick. I won't lie to you, boss. Got too many hours on that game.
Yeah. I mean, have you guys, I don't know, a game that I've got a ridiculous amount of hours. Okay. This is my secret love. And I have nobody, like very few people will ever play this with me. My friends won't play this with me. And I'll say that this occasionally becomes my favorite game. Not always my favorite game. Like League of Legends will always have that, hold that title, but a game called Sea of Thieves.
Oh,
yeah. Sea of Thieves.
Okay.
Sea of Thieves is the best game.
Nope. I will never touch it again.
I love it.
I will never touch it again.
Well, you know what? It improved. It kind of had this No Man's Sky sort of resurgence story a little bit. Not to the level of No Man's Sky.
I did the Skull Island quest where you have to die in like the special different ways and light your torch.
Yep.
Did that. Beat the quest, did everything. On the way to get the loot, someone killed me. I lost all my stuff.
There you go.
Never will touch that game again.
Look,
I have a burning hate for that game.
Oh no!
That was like a 5-6 hour project. I just went, man, I got nothing.
Yep. It's brutal.
It's unforgiving.
I love tucking. That's one of my favorite things in that game is you'll get on a ship and it's just you do nothing with your ship. You plan to lose it. You plan to sink. But the whole idea is that you eventually sneak onto somebody else's ship and stow away, and you hide yourself into a dark corridor. You pretend to be a barrel or something, and as soon as they gather up a bunch of loot, you kill them all, sink their ship, and then you eventually sail your a new ship or a different ship back to collect all the loot. And it's so much fun, and you control them.
That is a burning. You would build a burning hate in my heart. If someone did that to me, like I would be furious.
I've done it so much.
That makes me view you so differently.
How long has it been since you last played?
So seriously, like 2-3 years. I'm so serious. I will not touch that game.
Oh, it's a great game.
No, it's not.
A great game. I love it.
It's good in the aspect of they do a lot right. The problem is if I just want to play solo player, and like I don't even care. I want to play solo versus AI. You can't do it. You have to be online always.
Well, not necessarily true anymore. There's a new mode.
Oh,
there's a new mode. You can play solo. It's called like I don't know what you call it, Seas of Tranquility maybe or something. I don't know, but you can play. You get like a percentage less loot.
See, that's lame. That's right there.
You get percentage less loot. It is lame.
Like they're taxing me in a video game.
I know, but it's
risk. Can't even play the game without getting taxed.
Yep.
That's ridiculous.
I have been bold enough to turn in ships worth millions of gold. I'm a Chad. When I'm on the seas, I'm a Chad pirate.
That's crazy.
Wow.
I'm double gunning people. I'm flipping around.
Millions of gold.
I've got millions of gold on my boat. I'm rolling up on people.
I will say I did buy the $2.99 package where you can get a pet. I didn't even like the game. I saw it for $2.99 and I said I could put a parrot on my shoulder. That's a no-brainer.
Yep. I have a cat.
You can't be a pirate without having a parrot. Yep. Like that was the easiest purchase of my life.
It was. Yeah. It's obvious. It's a great game for role play.
So. It's better than Skull and Bones.
Oh yeah. Ooh.
To not be mentioned. Yeah.
I was one of the beta testers for that, and I tried to give it a chance, and no.
I was one of the unfortunate ones who actually bought it.
I'm so sorry.
I got a refund actually. I didn't expect to get a refund, but they did.
That's good. That's good.
I made sure to get all $70 of my dollars right back.
Did you email Ubisoft? You're like, yo, I would like my money back.
It was the only PlayStation refund I've ever done, and you do have to send emails to them, and you're like, I literally sent them an email, probably a page long, and said, this was the worst game I think I've ever played. You can check my hours on it. Got 2 hours in. Will never touch again.
That's fair.
A pirate game where you can't even jump off your own ship.
Ridiculous.
Ridiculous. I need another Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
We'll never get that. We'll never get that.
Shadows looks so good though.
It does. I hope it does good, but I don't know.
What else do you want in life playing as a black samurai who's like the dude is the coolest dude ever.
Yep.
I work at GameStop, so I gotta watch that trailer every day. He looks wicked.
He does look very cool.
Yeah.
He does look very cool.
Yeah, I just hope Ubisoft doesn't have to.
They redesigned the blade too. I forget the hidden blade. Mm-hmm. Oh my god!
I mean, they're making it more towards like Ghost of Tsushima, which is an amazing game. I still haven't beaten it yet, but it's so amazing.
If Ubisoft messes this one up, I'm done with them. They are on a 3-strike system. Suicide Squad. Skull and Bones.
No, Suicide Squad was. Oh yeah,
they were you.
No, Suicide Squad was Warner Bros.
It was both Ubisoft and Warner Bros.
How?
Ubisoft. I'm almost positive Ubisoft made it.
No, it was Warner Bros. It was Warner Bros. Video game division.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Then maybe there was another one Ubisoft did. They be breaking my heart every other week. I swear to God.
Y'all are gamers. I never played any of those. So
hey, I'll let you on a little secret. Don't play Suicide Squad.
No,
I won't do it.
I've seen videos of it, and I'm like. Vastly disappointed. It was made by the same developers who did the Arkham series.
I still to this day have no idea how. Batman, all of those games were like years ahead of its time.
Mm-hmm.
Years.
Lego Batman was years ahead of its time.
Yes. Yeah. They haven't made a good Lego game in so long.
Lego Batman was it.
Lego Horizon looked atrocious. I will say Lego Fortnite was great.
Oh yeah, Lego
you can still
Fortnite,
play it, but
Lego Fortnite is amazing.
It's really hard to hop on Lego Fortnite.
Sure.
I mean, you just need buddies, and you have a great time.
It's really hard to convince people to get on Lego Fortnite. I won't lie.
I mean, there are still enough people that play Fortnite. I mean, I got friends that still play Fortnite, and they get excited when they play like Lego Fortnite.
I don't.
It's amazing. Yeah.
They hear Lego Fortnite. They leave the chat. Beep boop.
I do the same thing.
But I know that you wanted to ask him a very burning question.
Burning question.
Yeah, it was before the pod.
Burning.
Snack.
Oh. Yeah, what is the snack? This is a childhood snack we got teased with before the show started. And it's not a chip, not a chocolate.
Yeah, I had it every day for probably 2 years. Every day after school, at least. Yeah, I'd sit back. I'll tell you this. I would go to the refrigerator every day after school.
Yeah,
I'd put it on a lid of from a butter container. You know, obviously it's like
so it's small. Then.
It's
small
and everything.
Is it like country? We talk about country crock, right?
Country crock.
So this is a small.
It's a country crock lid. Yep. Yeah, put it on a country crock lid. Take it over to the recliner. Put on the Crosby's.
Fair.
And I'm just chilling there.
Like, is it a spoon or is it a fork? Or
I would use a fork.
Fork.
I would use a fork. It's on a country crock lid.
Do you eat mac and cheese with a fork or a spoon?
A fork every time. It's more dynamic. Sometimes you got to stab them. But it's not mac. I'm not eating mac. So.
I can't. I don't know. What do you think it is?
If it has to be refrigerated, my mind goes to yogurt. But he said a fork.
He said it wasn't yogurt. I already asked.
Oh,
yeah. I already said it's not yogurt.
Is it like a frozen berries kind of thing? Like, you know, some people snack on some frozen berries.
Not frozen berries. No. No.
Not frozen. What store would you go? They're gonna have the most of this. Like that's where we're going.
I mean, like where I lived, Walmart was the answer. You know?
Okay, well that
doesn't do anything.
No, that actually helped. That didn't. That was worse.
Yeah, I know, it's pretty broad.
Is it okay? Is this a snack that's in the snack aisle, or what aisle is a snack in?
It's not in the snack aisle.
Is it at like the
probably in the international foods aisle?
Well, international foods?
That actually didn't help at all.
Yeah, maybe international foods, or okay, maybe I think you could end up there, but
you could.
Yeah, it could end up there. Or it could also
so now we're
end
just
up
lost in Walmart.
The the condiments, like hot dogs, like that aisle as well. Like it could end up like
jelly or jam,
like the jarred pickles. It could end up in that aisle as well. Yeah.
No, what?
Oh, were you just eating like a thing of pickles or something? Like the cup?
No, it's
not pickles.
Yeah,
not pickles.
Yeah. What's the first letter?
J.
Jelly?
No.
Jam?
No.
I really don't know. Is it Americanized or is it like?
You're getting close. I mean, maybe I don't know if this would be considered Americanized.
I'm about to say.
But I mean, if you could certainly find maybe a couple things this in international foods, and certainly a few things you find like where the jarred pickles and stuff like that. You know.
I'm at a loss.
I'm blanking.
I'm at a loss.
Y'all give up?
I give up.
I'll tell you if you want me to tell you. I mean, if you're just this bad at guessing what a basic everyday snack is for a kid, you know?
You don't eat a basic everyday snack on the lid of a country crock butter. You don't do that, actually. I hate to tell you.
Yeah. There's like
jalapeno peppers.
Wait, that's right.
Wait, no,
that's right.
The jalapenos.
I don't know.
Thank you, Chad.
Jimmy Cav, he got it.
What?
Yeah, pickled jalapenos more properly. Yep. Yeah, that's
Ew. You're nasty. Yeah. Why the Crosby's?
You just hate yourself.
That threw me for a loop.
No way. What?
Yeah, no, that's it.
Would have never guessed you were a spice guy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I would eat that stuff by the forkful. You know, no, I wouldn't say by the forkful. I'd probably get maybe 10 or 12 of them on the country crock. You know,
those lids are so small.
No. Yeah, I know. Maybe a little piled up. You know, but
you mean a pyramid?
Yeah, but you got the lid. You got the lid, so the juice will go into it. You know, so you're not making a mess. There's a reason
you made a pepper pyramid.
Okay, it wasn't like that big. It's just a couple high.
As your employee, I'm judging you so hard.
Judging.
Look, that was I was a kid. That's what I did. You know. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I'm sorry.
I don't know what I do.
Wow.
I would view my kids so differently if I came home and watched them just on the recliner.
That's the thing is, I was the only one at home, so nobody knew about this. My parents would both be at work. You know, I'd take the bus home.
Your childhood secret was you
Leave me
were
alone.
a jalapeno pepper fiend.
Yeah, every day.
That's
yeah.
crazy.
Do you still eat
Yeah.
that as a main snack? Then?
No.
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 No. Can
I
you
won't
still
do that
do you
anymore.
do well with spice or you hate it?
Oh yeah, I'm great with it. Yeah. No, I grew up, my family, like we had like a cattle ranch. Family has a cattle ranch, and one of the things my grandfather would always do, he's like, he'd have like a full on jalapeno pepper with meals. It was a thing.
That's
It's
crazy.
like put on his plate and just take just chomp on it. So I would do it, growing up because I thought he was the coolest guy ever. Yeah, I still think he's like the coolest guy ever. And just full on jalapeno pepper, like you just bite into it. So is what it is.
Changed my
Wow.
opinion on you full 360.
I'm judging you a little bit less, but
That's
still
crazy.
judging.
That's what it is.
Wild.
My
That's
grandpa
what
did
it
the
is.
same thing with
So-
an onion. Like he would bite into it raw.
See, they're psychopaths. It's the
Yeah,
other
okay.
generation influencing us. They're psychopaths.
No, they're crazy.
yeah.
Jalapeno pepper.
Yeah.
What is this? What's the snack of choice now?
Oh, I'm not much of a snacker anymore. I'm more of
You
like,
a gamer. Every gamer's a
yeah,
snacker.
I was about to say I do a lot of drinking, but not like
Whoa.
not like alcoholic. Like I'll say like if I'm feeling like I just want something like I'm at my computer, I'll like have like a Diet Dr Pepper, or I'll make like a Gatorade, or I'll have like water, just something to drink. I typically don't eat snacks as much,
Yeah.
so I'll just like kind of drink. And I mean, sometimes there's a little bit of fun stuff mixed in there. But,
Hey.
I'm not crazy.
I hope HR is not listening.
Yeah. Oh no, never on the job, of course.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Man.
Who even is HR? Sheree?
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine.
No, that's a shadowy figure. We don't know.
I was about to say it's a mystery, really.
yeah,
sure.
nobody really knows.
No, I feel like it's one of those things where you just type into your email HR and it'll go to the right
Pop up.
place.
Yeah.
That's how it works. That's actually how it works at a lot of companies.
Seriously?
Yeah, no, the truth. Yeah. You never actually know really who you're emailing all the time, and it's actually kind of rare knowledge if you know the names of the people in the HR
I
department.
would be so uncomfortable though,
So-
because I like signing my emails, like
Yeah, no,
professionally.
you're writing like you'll like write something to like an HR department. I'm
Yeah.
not saying like this always just like this is a common thing in a lot of large universities, like companies, that you'll like write a like hey I've got this question, sincerely Zach, or something, but you always like address it to like to HR. And then they'll respond like from HR or something. Like this is the most one-sided lack of personal conversation I've ever had in my
I was about to
life.
say, and you just walk around the
So-
office like you had a conversation with someone today, and you don't know who they are.
Yep.
That'd be weird too, because someone could walk up to you at any time and just go, "So the problems we was having, are they solved?"
And
you
it could be a deeply personal conversation. It's HR.
They would never know. You would never know.
So-
And then they could just never see him again in the office.
yeah.
They'd be like this shadow figure.
Yeah. What is HR? I don't know.
I don't know either, honestly.
Yeah.
Luckily, I've never been in HR trouble.
Yep. Never been in HR trouble myself. I only once, maybe. No.
It might be twice after the stream's over.
Yeah, maybe twice. No, I don't know what made me think of this. Just very, very quick story. I don't know why. Because I guess I got I wasn't reprimanded for it, but and back in the day in school, I actually made up a human being, and convinced all of my classmates that this person was real, and completely catfished them all into believing that this person was come to the school and they're the coolest person ever. It was not a great time in life. Yeah, I was young. I was a young kid. Yeah, this was whatever
the League of Legends.
Group,
this is the
group,
pieces are coming together.
Yeah,
the jalapeno peppers.
Yeah. I mean, it was
pieces are
group
being
had
put
come
together,
out.
and I'm understanding a little bit
Yeah,
now.
no, I'm a psychopath on the low key. No,
I'm a psycho.
You should admit that, but okay.
Yeah, I remember I got a talking to, I think, because that was on the onset of people actually be able to communicate on the internet, or
That's
not, maybe
so funny.
you have mobile phones, you could type to each other.
I'm about to say.
So people had no defense mechanisms against catfishing at that point in time. So the
and people didn't know what
idea-
it was really.
No,
it wasn't a
you didn't
thing
know.
yet.
So you just thought everything was legitimate, and yeah, so that was a tough time because broke a lot. He made a lot of people pretty sad that person didn't exist.
That was an HR at all too. The best part about that was we were talking about HR before. That was definitely just reprimanded in school.
Yeah, that was just like school administrators.
It's fair enough.
Easy. Wow.
Just to be reprimanded for making someone up.
Yeah, he was a cool guy. He was a cool guy, to be fair.
How did they even talk to your peers about that? He just made someone up. What did he do wrong?
It had to be one of the most interesting conversations I have.
Yeah, well, it started catching up to me when parents started calling back to the school. Because they were so excited.
What was his name? What was his name? Do you remember it?
Henry John. What's his name?
That's how you know it's important. He remembers the name. He remembers it.
What was the backstory? What was his backstory?
Oh, it was like we were. The kids were in band class. It was a band class thing, and we were all like playing the instruments. But I convinced them all he was the best player in the state of Texas.
Wow.
Coming to Oklahoma,
Really?
and they were like, "Oh my God, we're gonna learn so much."
Not only did you make up a character, the cool backstory to your character was you were really good at band
Nothing.
Just not a superhero, not this freakishly athletic man. This kid just is
freakishly real.
What instrument was it, or was it everything?
No, he was really good at the trumpet and a little bit of the French horn.
Wow. And the school lost it. People were
students. They fully believed they were having full on text conversations with this person.
You were texting
wow. Yeah. So, but the thing was, it wasn't just me. I had some buddies in on it too. So we could have multiple conversations.
We had
shifts. So there was multiple layers to this personality because I was never the nicest. So one of my buddies would always do all the nice texts, and I feel
like I talked to two different people, two different personalities.
Yeah.
Correct. You were
two-faced. Yeah, there was a lot.
Did all your friends get in trouble, or was it just they all said it was Zach?
No. I mean, it was mostly just me, and honestly, it wasn't too much trouble. It was just it's a bit of a talking to.
I was about to say, because at the end of the day, it is just one of those things.
It was harmless. It was there was nothing. It was harmless at the end.
You got parents involved. It was teetering off harmless.
It was teetering off. They were called to school. You're like, oh my God, this is kind of crazy. This super talented kids coming to the school, whatever, because people want their kid to be the best or something, so
people got jealous. They were like,
yeah,
my kid's the best band performer in Texas.
Yeah. No, that was a time to be alive. So I mean, I've been a goody otherwise. I never get in trouble. So,
hey. Stream's done in a couple of minutes. I don't know. I wouldn't check your email box. I just go home. I just say it's one of those nights where it's Friday night. Just go to sleep.
I'll avoid it. I'll avoid the topic of anything potentially troublesome. So
okay.
It's fair enough, honestly.
Right. Well, with that interesting Zach lore,
Zach
lore
discovered.
Man, let's go to the comments. Does anyone have any questions for dear old Zach or any of us for the stream before we before we end this good stream?
Oh man, Henry John. He does sound like a monarch. We ended up doing just two first names.
Henry John.
Yeah, it just sounded so real.
Also, just not clever at all because it definitely sounds like John Henry. It very much sounds very like basic. A fake very person.
Basic. Yeah.
How'd you get caught?
Well, it was really. I actually ended up giving myself up. Because I thought
clean.
I thought it was so funny. I thought it was such. It was.
You were bragging about it. That's crazy. Y'all want to hear something funny?
He's not real.
Did you go home to your parents and you're just like, I got a story to tell you guys?
No, I got all the kids in the class together. And he stood up on a chair or something. It was like. Yeah, he's fake.
No way.
You had to announce to everybody?
I thought it was going to be so funny because I was looking for the shock value. No.
And nobody laughed?
No, some people did. Yeah, because some people thought it was hilarious because, it went on long enough that people started catching on. Not every, I would
did
say
they know it was
50-50.
you or was it everyone was just like, he's not real?
No, I mean, I'd say about 50-50 that half the people eventually had suspicion. And then the other half were just completely committed, fully in love with this person. And I thought it was just gonna be the funniest thing before the rumor started getting too big that he's fake or whatever.
Say before it hit breaking news.
Yeah, I just
Fox News hitting you up.
I capitalized. Yeah, I capitalized when I could. So
no one decided to just look up John Henry.
Well, I made completely fake social media. He had fake everything. Yeah, yeah. He had.
I thought you no. It was you real. Went in depth with it.
Yeah, he had pictures and everything. Crazy. Yeah, I had multiple pictures of him,
like a bio and stuff.
I could do a really great job as a Pakistani scammer nowadays. You know, like this guy had full on like everything. You know,
that's crazy.
Wow. Yeah, he had multiple pictures, multiple socials.
I don't know if that's like impressive or scary. Honestly,
that's scary.
It's it's on that scale where it's like I can't tell yet.
Yeah,
but with the jalapeno poppers, you're leaning one way. I won't lie.
Yeah. It was all around. It was probably around the same time. You know, I was just going through. I was going through it.
Going home, watching the Crosby Show.
It was probably something in the poppers. You know, it was probably something in the peppers. You know, that made me like.
Just woke up one day and said, "Man, I want to make up a person."
Yeah,
and not only did you do it, it worked.
It did. It did.
Hey,
well, it did.
It's great marketing. Great marketing.
It is.
Don't say that.
Yeah.
You're doing a great job, boss. You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job out there.
Because stuff is crazy. All right. Well, with that, thank you guys for tuning in to the podcast. Be on the lookout for more for clips from this episode. And tune in for the next episode.
Walked into the office and said, "I am Henry John." Can we get you a name tag that says that?
Crazy.
Maybe.
No, that's going to be his new name in the Discord now.
Henry John. We got to change it.
This is crazy.
Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Never again.
Man. All right. Well, with that, thank you guys for tuning in.